Y'all, it has been 1 year since I have been gluten-free. I just thought I'd make a little update video for you, just kind of breaking down my whole journey from beginning to end, how I got diagnosed and symptoms, and then just some tips at the end. So stick around till the end for a few tips. If you are gluten-free or celiac, let's get right into it. So it all started last year. Prior to April 2022, I was told my mother has celiac disease. And I was like, oh my God, I probably have it too then. That's great. That's just amazing. So I went ahead and decided, let's make sure I do or do not have this, because it's a 50% chance that it can be passed on. So I went and found out that I have celiac. All right, so I'm going to start off with the symptoms. All right, so a few symptoms that I had, I'll break it down for you because they can be so far and few between. It is actually ridiculous. So first of all, I'll start with the gastro symptoms. So anything to do with the gut. Honestly, I had like every symptom that you would expect. So, I was bloated all the time, like every night, and I didn't eat gluten every single day. Like it was like a couple times a week kind of thing. So I would go for a couple days and I would be like, oh, I feel normal. And then I would be like, bam, 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 diarrhea, gas, bloating, nauseous, laying on the couch. Like literally it was nuts. So I would have pain after eating sometimes, which is really weird to me because usually when you eat food, your stomach shouldn't hurt immediately. But I also had a lot of my symptoms that gastro related would show up 1 or 2 days later. So, your intestine's really long. Yeah. So I could eat gluten one day and then feel great the next day. And then the next day I would be like, I am dying. So for my gastro symptoms, it was definitely bloating, gas, diarrhea, nausea, pain after eating. So that was like the gastro side of things. Definitely, I also suffered a lot mentally, which is kind of wild because you don't really realize until it's happening that you're like, oh my God, that was causing that problem. Some of my mental symptoms that I had from eating gluten, okay, anxiety, food-related anxiety. For example, I would be super anxious to go out and eat anywhere because I automatically just thought I was going to be ill after, which happened so many times. Oh yeah, another big one, which I think is super weird, but my mom totally understood when I was asking her if she felt this way too, was being dizzy or disorientated or feeling just like off balance. I don't know why this happens, but sometimes after eating gluten, I would literally be like, I'm gonna fall over. Like it was really, really strange. And if you've had this feeling, like you totally know what I'm talking about, but it's like such a weird thing. Like it's almost like I'm gonna fall over randomly, but like you don't. Really weird. Oh, and another big thing for mentally was brain fog. So my memory was really bad. It's actually still really bad. Okay, on to some more physical symptoms. I know, the list just like is not ending. I didn't realize I had so many symptoms until I stopped eating gluten. Highly recommend if you are suspicious to take like a week, do not eat any gluten and see how you feel. So, okay, on to the remainder of my symptoms. More physical symptoms, not super gut related, but just in general. My under eyes, super dark, like black. I literally went to work one day and my coworker was like, do you have makeup under your eyes? Like, and I was like, are you joking? Like, rude. But it was okay. So that was a big thing that I have seen like a big improvement. Another thing that I didn't know until I put out my 12 weeks of being gluten-free video was actually that my eyes are brighter now. So I think I got a lot of comments saying that the difference in my eyes, I never knew, but I guess like they were dull. A lot of people said like they're so bright now and clear, and I was like, weird. Like I never realized, but like I think they're talking about the whites, and like my eye color was like dull, and then by now not having that in my system anymore, my eyes are like bright and like white, and I'm like, very interesting. I would have never known, because I thought that's just how I look. So some more physical symptoms that I had was being exhausted, like all the time, no matter how much I slept, I was just tired. Okay, one of my other physical symptoms, which I don't know if anyone can relate to this, it's very, very odd, I think. Basically, I would make some homemade fresh buns, and we'd have them that night with soup or whatever. I would eat it and I'd be like, this is like the best bread ever, like delicious, oh my god, love it. And then the next day we'd have leftover soup, I would heat up some buns, eat them again. But I think this was the last time I ate those buns, I took like 2 bites and I was like, what is this? It's like stale or something. Like it just tasted gross. That's the only way I can put it, is like, it was just gross to me. I have no idea what that is. Anyone else, if that has happened to you, please let me know, because it is so weird. The big thing I want to mention with symptoms is actually that, I don't want to say like in general people, but me personally, I thought all of this was normal, like gastro, mental, physical, everything. We were both like, this is just how I am. Like, I guess my stomach's just really sensitive. Maybe I have IBS or something. Like, certain foods just fuck me up. It's just normal. It is not normal. Let me tell you, it is not normal. And if you have a list of like symptoms that you don't think are symptoms, you should go and investigate, because it is not normal. It is not normal, okay? Let me just leave you with that. So let's move on to my blood test results. If you have a family doctor, you obviously go to your doctor and you say, oh, someone in my family's been diagnosed with celiac disease. I think I might have it too, because I have this and this symptoms. Or they will just ask you, okay, do you have any symptoms? And you're like, yes, I do. Please, I need to find out if I have this disease. Okay, it is an autoimmune disease. It is not an allergy. It is a lot deeper than that. So they got me to get my blood tested for the celiac testing that they do here. So I'm in Ontario, Canada. And so they tested me. It's called tissue transglutaminase ABIgA. So that's what I got tested for. Now, when I got my results back, it said high positive, and my number was over 250. That is like the maximum. There's actually not any numbers that go over that. It stops at more than 250. So who knows how high my numbers really were, but they're supposed to be under 12. But the thing is, before you do this test, which is why a lot of people don't end up doing it and finding out like for real, because you have to eat gluten prior to this. So because I had no idea, this kind of came out of the blue, I was eating gluten, and then I was like, okay, no big deal, I'll just like keep eating gluten because I want to know for sure, and this is not going to be like impacting me, you know, like as if I had gone a year without eating gluten and now I have to eat it again. No. So I did that. I did my blood test, and then so that's what it came back, over 250, and it's supposed to be under 12. When that came back and the doctor called me, she was like, oh my god, like, so lucky that you found this out now. You probably do have celiac. I'm gonna hook you up with this gastroenterologist. And I was like, oh, perfect, yeah, for sure. And this was evidence enough for me to realize that I had celiac disease. But for some reason, the government, whoever, health industry, they don't recognize that you technically have celiac disease unless you go through all of these steps to find out that you have celiac disease. Okay, stupid, I know, but whatever. So anyways, I was like, this is enough information for me. But my gastro doctor called me and was like, let's do another round of blood tests, stop eating gluten, cut it all out as best you can. And about like 4 months later, we did another blood test. So my next blood test was the middle of August last year. So same thing, the tissue transglutaminase ABIgA, high positive, 154.6. So we knocked down 100, I don't know, U/ml, whatever. We knocked it down 100, but it's actually still really bad. So yeah, he was like, okay, your gut's fucked up. We need to do more testing. And I was like, fuck, because I really didn't want to do the endoscopy, which is where they put a tube down your throat, and they take a bit of they take some tissue from your stomach and then they test it, and that's how they really actually identify that you have celiac. So because it was showing so high still, I didn't have to eat any more gluten or anything. He was like, let's find out what the fuck is going on with your gut. Okay. So I forgot. I'll look up when I went and did my endoscopy because I was scared shitless, and let me tell you, it was so scary. I was almost crying before going in, which going in was actually just getting put onto like a bed with an IV drip. That's it. I waited like 4 hours before I actually was put under. It was just the being put under part that was like so scary to me. My mom actually didn't get put under. She chose not to do that. Highly do not recommend that shit, okay? Not for me. I'd rather be put under. So that's what I did. Unfortunately, I really didn't want to have to do it, but I ended up doing it anyways. It wasn't that scary. It was perfectly fine. And so they told me immediately after, yes, I think this was October, but I'll put the date here, the for real date, because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was in October that I got that test done, and they were like, yes, your gut is fucked up. It is damaged. It is hella damaged. And I was like, by this time, it had been like 6 months since I eaten gluten. Like, what the hell, man? After that, they're like, okay, you gotta be real good. Real good. Okay, no more gluten. Do another test in January, this January 2023. Okay, so I was like, okay, all good. All throughout this process, I still was getting upset stomachs here and there, not as much. I was still getting contamination. It's not called cross contamination. It is, I'll put it here because I forget. It's not cross contamination because you can't kill the germs off of it like how other things are. So fast forward, I still had some anxiety. I still was dealing with upset stomachs here and there. Still not perfect, not 100%. I'd have a lot of good days, but not every day was a good day. So fast forward January, and I was like, please, this better be fucking like so low, because I was being so paranoid. Like, I was like obsessing because I live with 2 people that eat gluten. I was like being obsessive, hyper fixated over like any type of gluten crumbs, and high positive still, yes. How? I don't know. 45.8. So exciting that it was only 45.8. That's way better, like way better. So I was super happy. And also this other this immunoglobulin IgA was also lower. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but it was lower. I'm super happy about being that low of a number in January because I was trying really hard. Okay, guys. After my endoscopy, my gastroenterologist was like, you're gonna have an appointment with a dietitian. So I ended up speaking with a dietitian before that blood test. She gave me loads of information and it was so good. So I'm hoping to pass that information, some of it anyways, as much as I can. I'm not a dietitian, so personal experience only. On to you guys. I really want to just spread the word, share the word, because I went for probably a really long time without knowing I had celiac. On that note, actually, my doctor did tell me that it is genetic, so there's 50% chance of the parent passing it on to the child. What I have is I was bound to get it eventually. Okay, so I want to just throw in a couple little random information tidbits for you. So that is the first one. Number 2, celiac disease, since it's an autoimmune disease, can actually malnourish. Maybe not since it's an autoimmune disease, but anyways, it can malnourish you and probably is malnourishing you, because the way it works is that your gut is fucked and it's not healed and whole. So how do you expect a broken gut to absorb anything? You can't. So so you can be low in iron, low in like enormous amounts of nutrients and vitamins, and that's why you're low on energy. That's why you feel like shit. That's why you're not recovering fast as you should be. whatever that might mean. Take it as you want. That is another little tidbit for you. Now it's been a year and I feel amazing. Like I feel perfect. Like my next doctor's appointment is next week actually, and I'm so excited because it's gonna be my last one because I feel so good. Like all of my symptoms have gone. On the anxiety front too, I do have to say my celiac and being that under control has helped, but I also know I went on a solo trip back to Alberta and that helped immensely. Like gaining independence back, doing something by yourself, challenging your fears and your anxieties, like that's the only way to conquer anxiety, unfortunately, is challenging it. So that's what I did, and honestly it's just been like so much better since then. So food, 1, challenging your anxiety, 2. Moving on to the long-awaited tips. Let's give you some tips if you are struggling with being celiac, eating a gluten-free diet, and etc. Tip number 1, find out if you have celiac. Or I would say at least like a blood test that does say that you are like above that 12 number. I would say that's enough to know you have a sensitivity that you should avoid gluten. Number 2, talking to a dietitian. Google everything. Like just Google. You'll find websites, you'll find information, like it's out there, okay? Tip number 3, so make sure when you're prepping your food, when you're eating, everything is clean. The oven, if you're going to use it, make sure you use it first, like to toast your bread or whatever, make sure you use it first before someone else puts gluten in there, because gluten can stay circulating in the oven and then you go and put your stuff in there and it's contaminated. Or just enclose, wrap your bread in or whatever you're eating in something and then put it in the oven. Washing your hands, I feel like I shouldn't need to say that, but if you touch a piece of bread and then you go and eat something, that is a no. I wouldn't use the same toaster. I know some people like wrap in like parchment or wax paper and then toast, but I just would avoid the toaster if it's been used for gluten. Okay, this is a big one. Condiments. So either buy separate condiments entirely, butter, peanut butter. I just would get a separate one and label it gluten-free, or just divvy out some, like half of this container into a Tupperware and label it for yourself. Okay, my last and final tip. I probably have more tips in this brain of mine, but whatever. My final tip is I'm not telling you to have separate pots and pans, plates, cutlery, or separate cleaning cloths. What I will tell you is wash that shit really, really well. It might seem wild, useless, doing too much. It is not too much, especially in those first months or weeks where you are struggling and you feel like shit still, and you're like, I'm not eating gluten. Oh yeah, actually, this is the final tip, the real final tip, okay, is keeping your products separate. And it's such a pain in the ass, but keeping your bread, wraps, anything, like in one section of the fridge, away, above everyone else's. I keep my products, like my bread and stuff, frozen. I just put it in a bag in the freezer, so I know nothing can contaminate my bread in the freezer, okay? Even the pasta and stuff, like just keep it on your own thing or keep it in a bin so that nothing can cross over. Okay, that is it for my video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Comment down below if you have any questions about symptoms, what I'm doing now, blah blah blah, because I'm going to show you guys everything. You already know I show you my recipes and my baking and all that jazz, but I would like to show you more eating out, around, and how I go about that. So yes, I hope you enjoyed. Like if you like, and comment if you have any questions again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.